Holy cow.
Seeing at 6 p.m., I'd like to call the March 5th, 2025 regular meeting of the Kenai City Council to order. I'd like to ask if you're able to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Daniel?
Here.
Councilmember Sonart?
Here.
Mayor Gabriel?
Here.
Councilmember Casena?
Here.
Councilmember Dothit?
Here.
Councilmember Askin?
Here.
Vice Mayor Naxted?
Here.
Student Representative Tanner?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. This evening, we have no laydown, council, so we'll move to item 3, approval of agenda and consent agenda. Pleasure, Council. Vice Mayor Naxted.
Thank you, Mayor. I move for approval of the agenda and consent agenda and request unanimous consent.
Second.
Is there anybody that'd like to make an amendment to the agenda or consent agenda? At this time, seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to please read the consent agenda into the record.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. Approval of the regular meeting minutes of February 19th, 2025. New business action approval, bills to be ratified, brought to you by the administration. New business action approval, non-objection to the issuance of a package store sampling endorsement for Three Bears Alaska, Inc., doing business as Three Bears Alaska, license number 4118, brought to you by the city clerk. Action approval, non-objection to the issuance of a restaurant endorsement for Salamatoff Cannery Lodge, LLC, doing business as Salamatoff Cannery Lodge, license number 15960, brought to you by the city clerk. Action approval, non-objection to the renewal of a seasonal golf course liquor license for Griffin Golf Course, LLC, doing business as Kenai Golf Course, license number 5788, brought to you by the city clerk. Action approval, non-objection to the renewal of a package store liquor license for AK Inc., doing business as Speedway Express, license number 4544, brought to you by the city clerk. Action approval, non-objection to the renewal of a retail marijuana store license and a standard marijuana cultivation license for Majestic Gardens, LLC, doing business as Majestic Gardens, LLC, license numbers 15393 and 15395, brought to you by the city clerk. Action approval, non-objection to the renewal of a restaurant eating place liquor license for Ramon Gonzalez, doing business as Playa Azul, license number 5224, brought to you by the city clerk. Introduction of ordinance number 3456, 2025, accepting and appropriating a grant received through Best Friends Animal Society to Kenai Animal Shelter for attendance at the Best Friends National Conference, brought to you by the administration. Public hearing scheduled for March 19th, 2025. Introduction of ordinance number 3457, 2025, accepting and appropriating donations, designated by Tom Anderson from the Alaska Community Foundation for the construction of softball dugouts and the dedication of a dugout in memoriam of Hannah Hill, brought to you by the administration. Public hearing on March 19th, 2025. Introduction of ordinance number 3458, 2025, accepting and appropriating a grant received through Alaska Geriatric Exchange Network to the Kenai Senior Center for attendance at the 2025 Legislative Fly-In, brought to you by the administration. Public hearing on March 19th, 2025. An introduction of ordinance number 3459, 2025, determining that the real property described as Lot 10, Block 1, Edelman Subdivision Number 3, according to Plat 82-103, city-owned airport land located outside of the airport reserve, is not needed for public purpose, and authorizing the sale of the property to Lorac LLC, brought to you by the administration. Public hearing on March 19th, 2025. An introduction of ordinance number 3460, 2025, determining that real property described as Lot 11, Block 1, Edelman Subdivision Number 3, according to Plat 82-103, city-owned airport land located outside of the airport reserve, is not needed for a public purpose, and authorizing the sale of the property to Lorac LLC, brought to you by the administration. Public hearing on March 19th, 2025. And ordinance number 3461, 2025, amending the official zoning map and land use table by rezoning properties at 202 North Forest Drive and 1408 2nd Avenue from suburban residential to general commercial zoning district, brought to you by the administration with public hearing on March 19th, 2025. And that is your consent agenda.
Well done. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there anybody from the general public who'd like to speak to anything that's on the consent agenda, which was just read into the record? Seeing nobody in chamber or online, we'll bring it back to council. Unanimous consent was requested. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the agenda and the consent agenda are approved. This evening, we have no scheduled administrative reports. We have no scheduled public comments. Under unscheduled public comments, is there anybody from the general public that'd like to address the council at this time on any item that is not on the agenda or consent agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to item E1, public hearings, ordinance number 3451-2025, accepting and appropriating donations to the Kenai Community Library for library materials, equipment, furniture, and programming. Pleasure, council. Vice Mayor Nakstad.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to enact ordinance 3451, 2025.
Second.
Thank you. Is there anybody from the general public that'd like to speak to ordinance number 3451-2025? See nobody online or in chambers here. We'll bring it back to council. Comments, deliberation from council? Vice Mayor Nakstad.
Thank you, Mayor. $13,850 is quite a generous donation in some, and it comes from private individuals as well as friends of the library. And I was wondering if we had anything more we wanted to add about, who donated the money, or any specifics that might be available.
Mr. Eubank, and I'll note that our library director is with us as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Nakstad. I am going to defer to Katja.
Ms. Wolf.
Thank you very much. Yes, so the biggest donation was a $10,000 donation. This was from a private individual, Debbie McCarthy. This is the third year that we've received this donation, so we're really excited about this. 3,500 of this came from the Friends of the Library. The rest of it, I cannot tell you. So there's like, 550 or something dollars that are, I don't know the names of those individuals.
Thank you. Further comments? I guess I would just, I think I can speak for council when I could say thank you for all those individuals and for what that helps. If you read our packet of what that goes to for improving our library and the services. So much appreciated. Seeing no other debate or deliberation, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sonart,
Yes.
Mayor Gabriel,
Yes.
Councilmember Casena,
Yes.
Councilmember Dothit,
Yes.
Councilmember Askin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nakstad,
Yes?
Councilmember Daniel,
Yes.
Student Representative Tanner.
Yes.
You have 7 yes votes. Ordinance number 3451-2025 is enacted.
Thank you. Next up, we have item E2, ordinance number 3452-2025, accepting and appropriating a polar bear and brown bear taxidermy donation from the Warren E. Johnson Estate for display in the Kenai Municipal Airport Terminal. Pleasure, council. Vice Mayor Nakstad.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to enact ordinance 3452, 2025.
Second.
Is there anybody from the general public that'd like to speak to ordinance number 3452-2025? Nobody online or in chambers? With that, I'll bring it to council. Comments, deliberation from council? Vice Mayor Nakstad.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to thank Warren Johnson family and estate for the generous donation. It's 2 displays we've had there for quite some time. I think longer than since 2014, but my memory escapes me on that one. But they've been there, they've moved around quite a bit, and they're quite a fixture there and much appreciated by the public and certainly by the city.
Further comments? Yeah, I'd like to echo that as well. And I find myself, seem to be wandering by there when I go over there waiting for a flight. And I know for those of you that don't know, Mr. Johnson, the family, it was a very interesting backstory and their guiding that they did over on the western Alaska Peninsula, and just a kind of a real Alaska story there. So seeing no other Deliberation, clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Gabriel?
Yes.
Councilmember Casena?
Yes.
Councilmember Dockett?
Yes.
Councilmember Askin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nakstad?
Yes?
Councilmember Daniel?
Yes.
Councilmember Sonart?
Yes.
Student Representative Tanner?
Yes.
You have 7 yes votes. Ordinance number 3452-2025 is enacted.
Thank you. Next up, we have item E3, ordinance number 3453-2025, amending Kenai Municipal Code, Chapter 7.15, Purchases and Sales, Section 7.15060, Procurement of Professional Services, and 7.15.070, Innovative Procurements and other exceptions to allow insurance coverages to be procured by direct negotiation and authorize other procurement exceptions subject to city council approval by resolution. Pleasure, council. Vice Mayor Nakstad.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to enact ordinance 3453, 2025.
Second.
Is there anybody from the general public that would like to speak to ordinance number 3453-2025? Seeing nobody online or in chamber, and this was sponsored by Vice Mayor Nakstad, I'll give you the floor, Mr. Nakstad.
Thank you, Mayor. This ordinance has two small parts to it. That does directly, go through our purchasing code. And the first part is very straightforward, very specific, I should say, and it's limited to the procurement of insurance. And it's one of the few things in our codes that are, very that specific. So if I might, from my memo, I'll read the market for the insurance is unique, and the city contacts with a brokerage firm to assist exploring the market and retaining the best coverage for the city. Is limited. There's limited competition and a lack of standard products that makes typical bidding or soliciting of proposals less effective and sometimes not feasible. Additionally, the city's general purchasing procedures do not afford the city the flexibility to take advantage of the different incentives offered by the market and are often not disclosed on the front end of the procurement process. Allowing direct negotiation will enable the city to secure the most comprehensive coverage at the best value. And this, of course, is something that reoccurs pretty much every year for us. The second part of this is procurement of some services and goods where it may be in the best interest of the city for the city manager perhaps to do negotiations and then come back to council. An example of that might be the purchasing of, actually we have one tonight coming up. It's an ordinance 3455 that we'll be discussing in a little bit, and that is a piece of equipment. And not to talk that specifically, but a piece of equipment may come up, in which case the city manager can negotiate a price, bring it to council. We discuss it, so it still goes through the process. It goes through a resolution rather than an ordinance, so the council does have a bite at that apple. The other possibility would be perhaps the city puts out a bid for some services, and perhaps we get no takers. Nobody responds, or something along those lines. And this has actually happened, and some specialty things, in which case then the city manager could go out in those cases and solicit from individuals, negotiate, and bring that back to council for us discussion and approval. And so it provides some additional abilities for our city to kind of move forward on some of these. And the safeguards are, that each one of these, they do have to come through council for discussion. And I think it's incumbent on council on these type of negotiations, bids, and procurement to be sure that it is being acted upon appropriately each time. And I'm sure that that's how the city managers will bring that forward. So with that, I'll rest if there's any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Nakstad? Councilmember Daniel.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. First of all, Vice Mayor Naxted, really appreciate you bringing this forward tonight. Any ways we can bring more value, but yet still with the safeguards in place for the public, for the city is a win, especially when it comes to procurement on these specialty items. A question in regards to the insurance piece. Does this allow us other avenues, such with this direct procurement option, to work with other municipalities to look at pooling for insurance, or is that a separate matter?
Vice Mayor Nakstad.
Thank you for the question. And what I would like to do would be to defer that to the city manager who has been doing these kind of negotiations and would have more insight on that.
Mr. Eubank.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Naxted, Councilmember Daniels. I don't believe that, I do believe this would give us the flexibility to do exactly what you're talking about. It allows us to, I think right now we would have great difficulty in procuring many of our insurance coverages. There were 2 pools in the state of Alaska. Those now are merging effective July 1 and will become a single pool, making getting multiple bids very difficult, if not impossible. So, but I don't think any of this is going to preclude us from looking at all options in the insurance market. And like Councilmember Naxted alluded, insurance is very specialized, and the reason we employ brokers is to assist us in analyzing the different coverages and trying to compare the different coverages of different offerings. And I just think this is a much better fit for a very, small but really important part of the procurement that we go through every year.
Further discussion, deliberation? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Casena?
Yes.
Councilmember Dothit?
Yes.
Councilmember Askin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nakstad?
Yes?
Councilmember Daniel?
Yes.
Councilmember Sonart?
Yes.
Mayor Gabriel?
Yes.
Student Representative Tanner?
Yes.
You have 7 yes votes. Ordinance number 3453-2025 is enacted.
Thank you. Council on item E4, ordinance number 3454-2025, amending Kenai Municipal Code 23.35.032 arbitration panel to amend the number of terms for indefinite terms to 3-year terms. Pleasure of council. Vice Mayor Naxton.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to enact ordinance 3454, 2025.
I'll second.
Is there anybody from the general public that would like to speak to ordinance number 3454-2025? Seeing nobody in chamber or online, we'll bring it back to council. Ms. Sainer, do you want to give us a little bit of a refresher on this?
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. So 2 meetings ago, we discussed current terms for our board was indefinite, and we have 5 vacancies and 3 members that are interested in serving 1 more year. So what this does is sets it up for the 12 memberships. Once this is enacted, 4 members will be assigned a 3-year term, 4 members will be assigned a 2-year term, and 4 members will be assigned a 1-year term. They will be 3-year staggered after that, but the initial setting up will establish a staggered term for all 12 members so that we're only filling 4 seats per year versus a whole bunch all of a sudden. And available for questions.
Questions of the clerk? Vice Mayor Naxton.
Thank you. I was wondering, as these terms come up, are you going, what's the process going to be? Are you going to advise council 1 month, 2 months in advance, and then we find?
Ms. Sainer.
Thank you for the question through the mayor. Yeah, so we start a recruitment for all of our boards that end in December 31st in October. So at that time, we would notice all employees and the council that the nomination period is open. We try to get the nominations in by the end of November so we can make those appointments in December, and all of the seats are filled on January 1st when the new terms begin. So yes, we will notify the council and the employees.
Further questions, Ms. Sainer? Other deliberation, discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Dothit?
Yes.
Councilmember Askin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nakstad?
Yes?
Councilmember Daniel,
Yes.
Councilmember Sonart,
Yes.
Mayor Gabriel,
Yes.
Councilmember Casena.
Yes.
You have 7 yes, Student Representative Tanner,
Yes.
apologize. You have 7 yes votes. Ordinance number 3454-2025 is enacted.
Thank you. We're on item E6, resolution number 2025-16, authorizing a professional service agreement and corresponding purchase order for the 2026 Airport Perimeter and Security Fence Line Improvement Project for the Kenai Municipal Airport. Pleasure, council. Oh, I missed 5. Oh, sorry. Pardon me. Actually, we're on item E5, ordinance number 3455-2025, authorizing the purchase of a used Ventrac tractor and attachments from KNC Golf Incorporated that deviates from the procurement procedures authorized by Kenai Municipal Code, Chapter 7.15, purchases and sales. Pleasure, council. Vice Mayor Naxted.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to enact ordinance 3455, 2025.
I'll second.
Is there anybody from the general public that would like to speak to ordinance number 3455-2025? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to council. I guess I'll defer to administration. Maybe you could just give us a little bit of an overview. I see our Lee Fry is here as well. Mr. Eubank.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. What this ordinance would allow is for the city to purchase this Ventrac tractor from KNC Golf. The Ventrac tractor is similar or the same as one the city does have budgeted in the FY25 budget. We hadn't procured that yet. KNC Golf, I think, offered us a unique opportunity and an exceptional value to purchase this unit. It is very low in hours. The difference between this unit and us buying a new unit is this unit comes with, I believe, about 10 attachments, Tyler, is that correct? Around 10 attachments, 10 or 11 attachments that some of which we would have purchased with the tractor we were expecting to, but many of the attachments we weren't anticipating to purchase at this time. Some of those will replace other pieces of equipment that we currently have, some of which are, 10, 15 years old at this point, would have to be replaced in the not too distant future. Code currently doesn't have provisions that allow us to do these types of direct negotiations. That's why it's being brought to you in this form. We think it's an exceptional value, as stated in the memo, it's going to provide cost savings, value, efficiency, and enhanced functionality for the Parks and Rec Department. So we're recommending council consider this, and we think it's in our best interest to move forward with this purchase.
Discussion from council. Yeah, I forgot this was Tyler's instead of Lee's. Sorry about that. Vice Mayor Naxton.
Thank you. I just want to recognize Bill Coghill that's in the audience now and chose not to speak, but I'll just say thank you very much. Bill, I know you're one of the owners of the golf course, and we're buying it from you, but it's also a donation because it is a great value. Thank you very much.
Okay.
My apologies. We haven't been introduced.
Further discussion from council? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Askin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Naxted,
Yes?
Councilmember Daniel,
Yes.
Councilmember Sonart,
Yes.
Mayor Gabriel,
Yes.
Councilmember Casena,
Yes.
Councilmember Dothit,
Yes.
Student Representative Tanner.
Yes.
You have 7 yes votes. Ordinance number 3455-2025 is enacted.
Thank you. Next up, we have item E6, resolution number 2025-16, authorizing a professional service agreement and corresponding purchase order for the 2026 Airport Perimeter and Security Fence Line Improvement Project for the Kenai Municipal Airport. Pleasure, council. Vice Mayor Naxton.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt Resolution 2025-16, request unanimous consent.
Second.
Is there anybody from the general public that would like to speak to resolution number 2025-16? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to council, deliberation from council. Councilmember Askin.
Oh, sorry.
Oh. Oh, Councilmember Daniel.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. Just a quick question for administration. It appears it's in here, it's 95% covered under the FAA. Is that 38,000 our cost or the total cost?
Mr. Eubank.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Daniel. That would be the total project cost. And at this point, the city will be fronting 100% of that cost until such time as we receive a grant for the project, and then we would be reimbursed for 95%.
Further discussion? Unanimous consent was requested. Is there any objection? Seeing none, resolution number 2025-16 is adopted. That brings us to item E7, resolution number 2025-17, authorizing the city manager to renew the memorandum of understanding for the Kenai Watershed Forum Kenai River Water Quality Monitoring Program. Pleasure, Council. Vice Mayor Nakstad.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt Resolution 2025-17, request unanimous consent.
Second?
Is there anybody from the general public that would like to speak to resolution number 2025-17? Oh, please come forward. Please state your name and just what city you live in.
Hello, my name is Trent Dotson, and I live in Kenai, and I'm the Executive Director at the Watershed Forum.
My name is Benjamin Meyer. I live at 580 Devray Street, Kenai. I'm the Research Coordinator at Kenai Watershed Forum. I'll speak first. We have 3 minutes, correct? Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak this evening. If you're unfamiliar with Kenai Watershed Forum, we're a nonprofit. We've been working on research, restoration, and then education related to the Kenai River and its denizens since 1997. Maybe some of your kids have been to our summer camp, or you've driven over culverts that we've replaced, or you've been to our Kenai River Festival. I'm here tonight in regards to 2 items related to our long-running Kenai River water quality monitoring program. One is to request to sign the Memorandum of Understanding. And the second item is for sustained funding from the City of Kenai for this project. I'll speak to the Memorandum of Understanding first. With this project, we monitor a variety of things that you might be concerned about with water quality, from bacteria to metals to hydrocarbons. This cooperative model has worked really well for 24 years, and it's less expensive to do this work together with many different cooperators than it would be alone or hiring a consultant to do this work. The Memorandum of Understanding is a non-binding document. It says that we, whoever signs it as an organization, values this work and we want to see it continue. It does not commit to continued funding. It does not commit to particular management actions. The value of the Memorandum of Understanding is we can use that to communicate with the community. Here are all the cooperating partners on this project. So we're in the process of going and visiting all of our different cooperatives. We have signatures from 4 or 5 of them so far, including the Kenai Peninsula Borough, Kenaitze Indian Tribe, and commitments to signatures from all the other organizations listed in the Memorandum of Understanding. The second item that I wanted to speak about briefly is related to funding for this project. Since 2010, the City of Kenai has provided a $5,000 annual amount to support laboratory analysis expenses. In spring 2024, the City of Kenai saw this amount reduced to $1,500. The project's needs and expenses with this work have not changed, and in fact, since 2005, with 50% inflation, we've seen a reduction in the amount of resources we have to do this same work. So local government is really where the rubber is going to meet the road on seeing this kind of work go forward. So if the City of Kenai is interested in having a meaningful stake in the outcomes of this work, I would urge us to continue funding this project at the $5,000 level, which has been the case for the since 2010, I believe. would be more than happy to speak to more details on this project or meet with individual council members at some other time. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak, and I'll let Executive Director Trent Dodson speak as well after me.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Dotson, if you
Yeah,
had.
no, thanks. I don't have much more to add. Just thank you for the opportunity to come here and speak tonight and considering our memorandum of understanding. I hope everyone had a chance to look at the materials we did provide and the video that we had produced this year via a grant from ConocoPhillips. I think it really tells the story of the program and kind of lays it out, the importance of it and the importance of the cooperative that we have going on. We would certainly be happy to answer any questions that you may have, and I'll leave it at that.
Any questions? Vice Mayor Nexon.
Thank you. I thought I was following, and then am I understanding that the $1,500 is not sufficient even with the use of the lab? Now, it sounded like we were going that it was, and then it wasn't, so it just.
I can speak further to that, yes. Last spring, I was put in touch with the Herrick Jean, who I believe is no longer the lab manager there now. We spent quite a bit of time going over the different type of equipment they have in the lab there. After reviewing the technical details, the type of analyses they're able to do in their lab are different than the type that we do for our project. If we were to change our methods, it would mean that we would not be able to compare previous results to new results. I would really be excited to work with folks at the Kenai Wastewater Treatment Plant and use their expertise and knowledge and equipment. But for the particular question of using their equipment to do the lab analyses, we were not able to proceed with that.
Further questions? Councilmember Daniel.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. As a follow-up, what I'm hearing you say is that you were unable to use the lab in any way, shape, or form for what you needed to do. Is that my understanding? Or is there any sort of in-kind part the city's been doing, or that didn't work for you at all?
Yeah, I can speak further to that. Thank you, Councilmember Daniel. Of the dozen or so different organizations listed on the memorandum of understanding, each provides different support. Some provide in-kind support, some provide financial support, some both. Sometimes it's in the form of labor, sometimes it's in the form of just the financial support, sometimes it's equipment. Historically, City of Kenai has provided, I think, some staff to assist with the field work that we do with this project. It just depends on who's available on which days. And since 2010, the $5,000 support to cover lab analysis expenses as well. Yes, we are not currently receiving any other additional in-kind support from the City of Kenai. I would be eager to meet and communicate with the new lab manager there to see if there is anything we can work out. But for the 2025 season, at least, it would be unlikely that we would be able to do that in the time frame we're working with.
Councilmember Dothert, I see you have your hand up. It's online.
Yeah, I know we're in the early phases of trying to figure out some kind of a report system for these in-kind grants. If there was a way for another meeting, probably would be the best, to give a presentation on possibly costs and expenditures and where these funds are allocated to and kind of what the cost is, to help us kind of see where this funds would be going to and what the actual cost is to operate this. I think that would be helpful for us to be able to determine the level of funding that we'd be able to give as a city, but that might be something we'd be able to do at another upcoming meeting if that's possible for scheduling. Might be something to think about.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Dothert. In the materials I provided that are in the packet, it's a little bit buried, but there is a link where I do provide a link to a spreadsheet that breaks down a lot of the financial details that you might be interested in. On average, it takes annually around between $25,000 to $40,000 a year to run this program. Lab expenses are the bulk of that. And yes, I would be more than happy to present to either a different audience again or a smaller audience for greater details on what all that goes to.
Just as a follow-up, maybe to Mr. Councilmember Dothett, so were you wanting to hold off on this till we got another presentation, or is that kind of?
Well, I don't, as far as the memorandum, I think it's two kind of brought up as they did too, two different items here really tonight. The funding request would be a separate item, I think, to take up on another meeting for us to be able to discuss and maybe show some more data on that. As far as the memorandum, I think we can move forward with the vote on that. I'm talking about the request that they secondarily did about the funding increase, something for us to consider when we're coming up with our current budget. But I did have a quick question for the gentleman there. Is this a federally required data program that we're doing, or what exactly does this data go towards, or why, other than just informational? I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just curious, is there some kind of a federal monitoring system that we're required to have this data for, or what is the data used for?
Yeah, I can speak more to the background and the justification for this project. This project was at the behest of the 1997 Kenai River Special Management Area Comprehensive Plan. That's a mouthful. So that was published in 1997. It made a number of recommendations. One is that there should be a regular and consistent water quality monitoring program for the Kenai River because it is a high-use area relative to many rivers throughout the state. So that recommendation was made in 1997. Our organization was formed around the same time, and this was sort of the first big project that we took on. As far as how this data is reported and how it's used, we publish a we publish our raw results on our website each year. We publish a comprehensive report every 6 to 8 years. They've been published in 2007, 2016, and I have another one on my desk right now that I hope is available soon. We have a preview version of it available on our website. Those data are evaluated against both state and federal water quality standards, and it does not compel particular management action at that stage, depending on what the results are. What we do if we find something interesting is go and have a series of meetings like this again and report on what the results are and what they might mean before we would take or recommend any particular action. So the project itself does not have a binding management outcome, I guess, if that speaks to your question.
Yes, I was curious if it was like a requirement by the government or some kind of an agency that we have to have this, or are there other agencies government funded that are doing similar studies and you guys are comparing and correlating them to, or are you currently the only one monitoring this system?
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Dothett. I can speak to that further too. This project was really designed to be a collaborative effort. There have, of course, been smaller efforts to monitor water quality at smaller scales. Both the Soldotna Wastewater Treatment Plant and the City of Kenai Wastewater Treatment Plant also monitor their discharge and various other features of their facilities as far as water quality. But as far as any other comprehensive views of water quality in the Kenai River, this is really the only one. We do use other data when it's available, like say like if there was a university researcher that was doing a project on like just the Russian River, or if there was some shorter term project, we try to include those results in our evaluations.
Thank you for the information. That clarifies some things for me.
Further questions for Vice Mayor Naxton?
Yeah, thanks. Just to kind of follow up what we were talking about, we're going to have our first budget meeting probably the first week in May. So what would be helpful for us, because it's in our budget, and any changes would be, is if you could give us provide a memo, something fairly succinct, saying, where we're at and how much you need and why, and what you're going to do. I mean, this is a lot of information, just to kind of keep it that way. Run that through the city manager. Another thing that you may want to do is perhaps also check in with the clerk, because we're going through a process now where a lot of the funds like this, we're looking at, we're wanting to have a questionnaire sent out. It might, she's working on it. It hasn't been created yet, just so you're not creating something that's going to be, already done. But I think that would be very helpful, and then if we have that in hand when we're having our budget meeting about that time, then we can discuss it then.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Next, we have those materials ready and can definitely provide them in a summarized memo.
Further questions? Councilmember Casena.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank you both for being here and both presenting as thoroughly as you did and presenting such a detailed packet for our agenda. Both are not necessarily typical, and they're pretty nice to have. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions? I got one. I looked at your chart here where you talk about the inflation adjusted project income. And I see we've been donating since 2010, you're right. But the city of Soldotna, I don't see them on there, but they're in the list under the memorandum of agreement. They provide in-kind services.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, the city of Soldotna provides lab services for us in kind, so that's where we were looking to maybe expand that with the city of Kenai as well, but at present, that's their contribution is lab services.
Okay, very good. And just one follow-up, just so I kind of understand this a little bit. I support this, by the way. I think that's, continuing this baseline, our river system is too important to our communities to not have all the information we need to do to make good management policy decisions regarding that. But you say you test 22 sites twice annually. What time of year do you guys test those sites?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we test early spring, so this year we're going to be going out on April 30th, and then we also will do our second test in July.
Okay, very good. Further questions, comments? Thank you, gentlemen, for taking the time to explain to our council. Appreciate that. Is there anybody else from the general public that'd like to speak to resolution number 2025-17? Seeing nobody in chambers or online, we'll bring it back to council, discussion of council.
I think I request unanimous
Very
consent.
good. Unanimous consent was requested. Is there any objection? Seeing none, resolution number 2025-17 is adopted. Next up, we have resolution number 2025-18, authorizing the use of fleet replacement fund for the purchase of equipment to uplift 3 new police vehicles. Pleasure of council. Vice Mayor Naxton.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt resolution 2025-18, request unanimous consent.
Second.
Is there anybody from the general public that'd like to speak to resolution number 2025-18? Seeing nobody in chambers or online, we'll bring it back to council. Comments from council. I think we got the vehicles, but we kind of need to add the extras, don't we, Chief? Okay, I see a nod back there. So I do support this. Comments? Unanimous consent was requested. Is there any objection? Seeing none, resolution number 2025-18 is adopted. That brings us all the way to item H14. Action approval item, Harbor Commission 2025 work plan. Pleasure, council. Who is our liaison?
Oh, that's me.
Thank you. Councilmember Casena.
Okay, yeah. I moved to approve. Let me go back to it here. The Harbor Commission 2025 work plan. As proposed.
Second, request unanimous consent.
Unanimous consent was requested. Was there any questions or comments about the work plan itself? Seeing none, unanimous consent was requested. Is there an objection? Seeing none, the Harbor Commission 2025 work plan is approved, and thank you for their work that went into that to identify those items. Next up, we have item H15, action approval. Nominations received for council consideration of Robert Malloy and Bondosco for appointment to the Personnel Arbitration Board. Councilmember Raskin.
I move that we accept the nominations and appoint Robert Malloy and Bondosco to the Personnel Arbitration Board.
Second.
Very good. Is there any discussion on the agenda, on the approval motion? Motion to approve? Seeing none, I don't think I heard unanimous request with that.
I'll request unanimous consent.
Very good. Thank you. Unanimous consent has been requested. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the action to appoint Robert Malloy and Bondosco to the Personnel Arbitration Board is approved. That brings us to commission reports. Council on Aging Commission.
Thank you, Mayor.
Vice
No
Mayor, next.
report. The next meeting is 13th of March.
Thank you. Airport Commission?
Let's see here. I will be at this one. Thank you, Vice Mayor Naxted, for going to all those airport commission meetings for me. And it is on the 13th of, ooh, that's his, not mine. It's coming up, though. Where is it? Isn't the 13th due at 6? It is. It is, same day. Yeah, it's like, all right, so I'll be there.
Thank you. Harbor Commission?
Yeah, it's me again. No meeting, no Harbor Commission meeting since we last met, so no report. The March 10th meeting was canceled due to a lack of agenda, and so the next scheduled meeting was April 7th.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation Commission?
There we go. We have a meeting tomorrow, which I won't be able to make, but Councilmember Daniel will be meeting for that meeting for me.
Thank you. Planning and Zoning Commission?
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. The Planning and Zoning Commission met on the 26th of February. They had 3 plats that were considered and all approved. One in Valhalla Heights, one at Inlet Woods, and one at Holland Spur Highway subdivision. Their public hearings involved, they recommended approval. They rezoned the property located at 202 North Forest, which I believe was the greenhouse, and 1408 Second Avenue. They become one property, and they also granted a conditional use permit at that location for a greenhouse, cafe retail area, and a law office. They also granted a conditional use permit for cabin rental, short-term, on Angler Drive, and also granted a conditional use permit for a lodge and guide service in a single-family dwelling at 1235 Angler Drive. That was the extent of their business, and the next meeting is next Wednesday, the 12th.
Thank you. Beautification Commission?
No meeting.
Very good. Thank you. On the report of the mayor, just got a few things here. So I attended a week ago, last Monday, I attended the biannual commission training and appreciation event we had over at the Chamber Visitor Center. Well attended, and I wanted to thank our city clerk and our deputy clerk, and I think Mr. Bloom had a role as well to help train our commissioners so that they're prepared when they come up here to do the work of the city advising this body. And I wanted to, and just publicly wanted to thank all those members for the time that they put forward. Most of those commissions are they're not compensated anyway. So I always say that, one of your most valuable assets is your time, and they're willing to give some of that to the city of Kenai to help us be better advised for decisions we make. Much appreciated. Last week, Wednesday and Thursday, I went down to Juneau with our city manager and made the rounds on Capitol. The Capitol there to mainly we were stumping for funding for Wildwood Drive. And I'm not going to, I'll let Terry kind of give the report here in a minute, but I just want to say it was a very good trip. I think we had some pretty good insight to what was going on down there. And it's always good, I think, to make those rounds and get those personal relationships continuing and established. It was interesting that the Capitol, I know they just had AML down there, their winter conference. We specifically did not choose to go down there during that time because it's generally too busy. But it was nice that we were able to meet with all the people that we wanted to, even some that we just sort of dropped in and had just sort of ad hoc meeting with them. But there's clearly, you can tell that there's not a lot of capital money, because generally the halls of the Capitol building are a little bit more busier than they were when we were there. But all in all, I think it was a trip well worth it. And then finally, you should have, I think everybody has their notice from the clerk, maybe I'm the only one. But just a reminder that annual financial disclosures for 2024 are due on April 15th. So coming up here pretty quick. And you can get with the clerk if you have no changes. We've kind of streamlined that now. So if you don't have any changes, it's pretty easy. Even if you do have minor changes, it's fairly easy as well. So thank you for that. And with that, I will go to administration reports. City Manager, Mr. Eubank.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. A few things to report on here. Give you some update on staffing. Marissa Courier started last week. She is the new 14-hour administrative assistant in the police department that council authorized. So I know the department's excited to get her on board and starting to make a difference over there. We are currently recruiting for a firefighter position. I spoke with the chief today. I think he's up to 33 applicants for this posting, which is far more than we've been seeing in recent years. And I think part of it is some new strategies. The department actually put together a short video kind of to promote the department and what Kenai Fire is about. On that same note, I will let council know that we are expecting or have received the resignation of another firefighter who's going to be staying here locally, but is going to go to work for one of the local ambulatory services, air ambulatory services. We're going to be sorry to see him go, but want to wish him the best. So we may be trying to fill 2 positions with this recruitment. And so I'm really thankful that we have such a robust number of applicants to choose from. In the utility, we are recruiting for the lead operator position, and the police again started recruiting for their temporary enforcement officers for this summer. So other summer positions, that recruitment's likely to start here in the not too distant future. I want to remind council that the employee appreciation event will be on April 26th over at the Kenai Senior Center. And we sure hope that council members are able to attend that. The mayor did mention he and I did travel to Juneau last week for a couple of days there. We did meet with the city's entire legislative delegation, and Senator Bjorkman, Representative Ruffridge, and Representative Elam. We did get a chance to meet with Senate Majority Leader Gensel, House Majority Leader Kopp, Representative Louis Stotz. She's also Fishery Chair, and Senator Giesel is Chair of Senate Resources, which deals with a lot of fishery issues as well. And then we also met with representatives from DOT. We got a meeting with the Commissioner of DOT and members of OMB from the Governor's Office dealing with the capital plan and capital budget. So we're trying to cast a pretty big net, looking for funding for and opportunities to try to take care of Wildwood Drive. Also, when I returned home this week, I did have a meeting on Monday facilitated by Senator Bjorkman's office with, there was a member from DOT there, but we had the Commissioner of Department of Corrections and the Superintendent from Wildwood both on that call to talk about Wildwood Drive as well. So we're working hard and may have opportunities, more opportunity than I thought we might have to maybe get some action on Wildwood Drive this summer, but more on that to come as that starts to present itself. I did email council, but I wanted to bring up that we were the subject of that email phishing scam that was targeting applicants. These are applicants for planning and zoning actions where we published their applications in our packets as public information. And come to find out, this is not a new scam. We're just one of the latest victims around the nation of this, unfortunately. But I did work with the city clerk and the city attorney. We've drafted and put in place a redaction policy where we will no longer be publishing the contact information for those applicants in our packets, hoping to avoid a similar situation. We don't believe that in any way that hampers the public information or public notice requirements, but hopefully we can protect people from being the targets of these types of scams. So I want to say thank you to the clerk and the city attorney for helping with that policy. Working with the airport manager and our airline operating agreement consultants on a new airline operating agreement. Our current agreement expires on June 30th. We're looking for a new 5-year agreement. We're expecting a draft of the new agreement that will go before commission and to the airlines for comments. And then we will be bringing that back to council once we work out any differences we may have with the carriers on that. I did meet with Salamantoff Native Association's Executive Director, Ms. Anna Bateman, to discuss the potential for some fish passage and habitat restoration MOU, and also a joint work session with council. So they were having the tribe was having a board meeting last week. She was going to discuss with the board and get back with me, and I'll have some updates for council once I hear back from Ms. Bateman. Just put on the record, Public Works is going to begin fire hydrant flushing in March. I hope to get that done between March and April. I want to remind residents out there that when we're doing that flushing, what it does is it does stir up some of the sediment that accumulates in the pipes over time. The water may get a bit discolored during that process. It is absolutely not harmful. It's just not the best to look at. If you see that in your house, just run your faucets until that water clears up, and you should see no effect of that. I'll give you a little update on the budget process. Departments have submitted their budget requests. Those are being consolidated by the finance department, and I'll be reviewing those along with their special project requests over the next couple of weeks. When I get back, we'll have meetings with the departments to discuss their individual requests and goals and objectives for the upcoming fiscal year. Mayor Gabriel and I will be presenting the State of the City at the Kenai Chamber on their luncheon on April 2nd. If you want to put that on your calendar to attend. The mayor always does a great job, and I'm just there to provide color, so looking forward to that presentation. We are expecting the draft budget to be submitted to council around the second week of April. And last thing, Public Works is working with the Corps and the contractor to facilitate that bluff stabilization project meeting in April. We're also kind of working hard to foster conversation between UCEDA, the local commercial fishing group, the Salmon Alliance. These are the users of, and that will be accessing in and out of the Kenai River during the salmon fishery this summer in July there. And, we'll be directly in the construction zone for the bluff erosion. So we're trying to really get some answers for the fishermen so they understand the project and how that might impact their operations. So Public Works Director Fry has been really trying to facilitate that. I know he's going to Anchorage next week, and we're going to keep pressing the Corps and the contractor to have those conversations early with the fishermen to alleviate their concerns. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of the city manager? Vice Mayor Naxton.
Not so much a question, but a comment. You talked about the scam that happened. It turned out that a good friend of mine called me, and he is one that was nearly scammed. And he had an application in through the planning department. And he called me to find out if these fees were correct and all that. And but by that time I got to him, he'd already gone through City Hall. And I just wanted to report that his experience was very good at City Hall. He met with the planner. And he said, man, what a great guy, and you just, clarified that, and I think perhaps with you also, but just meeting with the city, and he was set at ease, and he knew everything was being taken care of, and he was quite appreciative of the whole process in City Hall. So I just wanted to say kudos to you and everybody upstairs there.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments for the city manager? Seeing none, we'll go to our city attorney, Mr. Bloom.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel, and members of council. I don't have anything to report, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions of the city attorney? Councilmember Casano. Oh, sorry. Just return. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Seeing none, go to our city clerk, Ms. Sainer.
Thank you, Mayor Gabriel. Just a reminder that we only made 2 appointments to the Personnel Arbitration Board, so there are still 3 vacancies. We will remind employees that they can still bring nominations, and council members can still bring nominations. We will accept them until the positions are filled. Thank you.
Are those designated seats out of the 3?
The ordinance that just passed tonight doesn't take effect for another 30 days, so then they will have designated seats. And we will be filling the 2, I think after we fill the 2 3-year terms with these, then we'll have 3 seats for 2-year terms, because my 4-year terms are taken.
Very good, thank you. Any questions of the city clerk? All right, very good. Seeing none, we will go to additional public comments. So is there anybody from the general public that'd like to address the council at this time? See nobody in chamber or online. We'll go to council comments here, and we'll start with Councilmember Dothett.
Yeah, just a couple of things. One, don't forget the senior center fundraising coming up here in March, the Gilligan's Island theme. So look forward to seeing as many of you guys there with some intriguing costumes. I'm sure it'll be a fun time as always. And then one other thing, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, Brittany Carr, the sales and marketing employee over at the chamber. I'm not sure if you recently met her, but she's the younger lady that helps out a lot over there, does a bunch. She's been diagnosed with breast cancer. She's currently about 30 weeks pregnant with her 4th child. It's a pretty sad situation, but she is able to start going through treatments, and we are working to try to do some different fundraiser events to help her out as much as possible. She's very dedicated to the chamber, been a great asset over there. And apparently even after starting chemo, she does plan to try to come back and work part-time in between treatments. So if you know anybody that can help out with those, we are looking for ideas for fundraisers, and we do have a GoFundMe page that we're trying to share to get her family as much help as possible. So it's one to pass that along. Other than that, everybody hopefully have a good spring break. I'll be down here in Phoenix. So
Thank you. Student Representative Tanner.
All right, for Connections and Kenai Alternative High School, I have nothing to report. For Kenai Central High School, on March the 7th and 8th is their varsity boys and girls regional basketball tournament at Nikiski High School, and March 19th is their state basketball tournament.
Thank you. And spring break, right? Coming up. Yeah. Councilmember Sonert.
Feed me, Seymour. Feed me all night long. That's been my life for the last 12 days. Kenai Performers, I just got done with a 2-weekend run of Little Shop of Horrors. I couldn't tell you my family names, but I can tell you all about Audrey, Seymour, The Plant, and Mushnick. So it's been dress rehearsals and performances literally for the last 12 days. But it was very well done. by Kenai Performers, and it was the first time that they used a pit orchestra for this production since 2020 Into the Woods. So they've been using, canned music since then, and I think we were hoping it would come back, and it did, and so, it was the first, anyway, it was the first performance with the pit. Of course, we weren't in the pit because we didn't do it at the high school, we did it at their performing center behind Subway on K Beach. And so they called us the Sardine Can Band. They literally turned us to face the wall to play so that we wouldn't overpower the cast and the singers. But it was well done. I know with small audiences, we ran 1, 2, 3, 4. We ran 8 performances, 8 shows in 2 weekends. So I don't know if anybody got a chance to see it, but Kenai Performers is alive and well, and it was very well done. And the plant won. Very sad.
Thank you.
Oh, and I am looking forward to the March Meals on Wheels.
Yes.
And I am planning my costume
Yeah,
and my pie.
Gilligan's Island. So I wonder if we're gonna have a professor and a Gilligan and all that contest. Be fun as usual. Councilmember Askin.
I too am looking forward to the senior center Meals on Wheels. I attended the training and it was very well done. Thank you for that. Congratulations. Student Representative Tanner won the trivia contest at the end. And don't forget to set your clocks ahead 1 hour on Sunday.
Thank you for that. Councilmember Daniel.
Can't believe it's daylight savings already. Crazy. I too attended the training and thank you dinner, and it was very well done. Thank you for that. I learned a lot more than I thought I would and enjoyed it. It was great, so I appreciate that. Also, a quick shout out to City Manager Eubank. Thank you for taking the time to work with Salamantoff Native Association and trying to get a work session scheduled. I really appreciate that.
Councilmember Casano.
Yeah, I also wanted to thank the clerks for the training session that they put on. I thought it was the second time that I've attended that and found it incredibly beneficial both times. Just wanted to congratulate Student Representative Tanner again for his first place win and point out that other people in the room might have got less than that. Lee. I also last week attended the AML-JIA PERMS conference, which is a public entity risk management seminar. I had the pleasure to spend time with other representatives from other municipalities in the area, including the City of Kenai's building official, Joe. And so got to get to know him and talk about safety at the City of Kenai, and it was a good time.
Very good. Vice Mayor Naxa.
Thank you. Well, I too would like to thank our clerk for putting together that parliamentary training and appreciation evening. And always learn something new. And I think most of the council was there too. And like has been mentioned, council student rep Tanner smoked us all. But he just said he took good notes, but he's good anyway.
Yeah.
We'll probably be seeing him in local politics someday because he did better than we did. But just other things happening, Councilmember Dothett and I, we assisted moving some materials over to the Triumvirate Theater that's getting toward into completion, I suppose. But they're hoping to have a open house or something like that, or a completion around the substantial completion around the 20th or so of April, in that time frame there. But we got a tour through the building, and still a lot of work to do. We'll see if they actually make that, but that's just how that goes. The other thing I want to mention is this Friday, Marion Nelson's not here, so she's not here to tell us about the Kenai Art Center First Friday, which is at 5 o'clock at the Art Center, and always try to go there. There's going to be a first run on a beer. They'll have a beer there, and there'll be music and all of that. And so do enjoy that. And then when you're done there, you can go over to the chamber, and they'll also have a First Friday over there. So Kenai is just full of art, and I suggest it's like 5 to 7 at both places, so there's plenty of time to see both.
Thank you, everyone. Good meeting. Thank you all for showing up. And this evening, we have no executive session. There are no pending items before this body. Seeing no other business, we are adjourned.